Hi, this is JP Morgan, and today on the Slant Lens, we're going wide. We've got the 17 to 28mm lens on that new Sony mount by Tamron. It's a fabulous offering. I want to see if it's as good as the 28 to 75, which I love and use just about every day. I'm excited for this wide lens. Let's take a look at it and see what we can do. I've got with me here Leah Kim. She's a famous YouTuber. She loves farm animals, right? So what is this lens good for? It's really great for events. We were shooting with an event not too long ago, 2 days ago. It's just an excellent wide lens to be able to get those group shots and things at an event. The event photographer I was with loved it, absolutely loved it. But it's great for landscapes, it's great for interiors, for buildings. There's a lot of things it's good for. So one of the things I love about it is that it zooms internally, which means if you put it on a gimbal or something, as you change your zoom, it's not going to change your balance. And you're able to change your zoom and change your millimeters, and it's not going to change the balance on the gimbal. It's also, you can focus up to 7.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and take some images here. With this kind of a lens, a 17 to 28mm lens, it's about design elements. It really is, because you've got a wide view. I'm not going to be tight. It's about contextual. I'm seeing her in her world, and I really get the chance to be able to use like this base here as a great design element. So it's about creating design elements around your subject matter. So we're going to go ahead and just shoot some images, take a look at the images and see what we like, see if this lens looks and resolves well. Let's see exactly what we get. So I'm going to shoot some images. Let's go for it. All right, let's take a look at some of these images that we shot out here with the 17 to 28mm. You know, first off, I was super impressed with how sharp these are as I looked through them. I was really pleased both with how fast that the autofocus worked on the A7R III, which means the autofocus is working flawlessly with the 17 to 28mm lens. When I look at these, it's really interesting because the very first one, we got this flare in the corner. You know, it's almost hard to get a good flare nowadays with a lens. All the lenses are fighting so hard to not give you a flare. This shot, the sun is literally right there on the edge of the frame. We're at 17mm. All the ones where she's jumping with the fountain in the background are all at 17mm, and they're just so nicely, just so sharp on her face. This shot of the building with the two birds going by, this is shot at 3.2 at a 2000th of a second, 100 ISO. That blue sky is pretty clean all the way around. I don't see a lot of vignetting in this image at all. Same with this gray I see here where she's jumping and you got the gray wall. It's a very nice even gray. It's not vignetting in the corners. I did some images where she was pretty close to the camera. Even so, her face is not distorting, and it's really decent. I mean, if you keep her more towards the center, it's not going to distort, obviously. But I was pushing her a little more towards the edge, and it was still holding. When I look at these ones of her next to the Disney building, on these I burned in the sky above them because it was just so bright, so that color in the sky was done in camera raw. This really attests to the A7R III more than anything, but I'm hand folding these at a 40th of a second at 2.8, and these are really nice and sharp and decent images. Just kind of a nice graphic look as I'm looking up at her with the ceiling above her. I do see a little bit of vignetting when I get to the buildings. Like here's a building shot at 17mm. You see just a little bit of vignetting up in the sky. When I go down from 2.8 to f4, that vignetting disappears almost completely. I'm pretty impressed. I really enjoyed shooting it and walking around with it, and I thought the image quality was excellent.
One of the things as an event photographer, you just want something that's I can see more. I wish it was 2.8, and it's not. But it is a very sharp lens.
Well, I want you to tell me what you think of this. This is the 17 to 28 Tamron Sony mount 2.8 lens, and just tell me what your sense of that is.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see.
You put it on your camera? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know,
So that's a 2.8. Look at the size.
That's incredible.
I'm
How
sure.
close can I? Sorry, I apologize. Wow. What? No. What? What? No
It
way.
focuses stinking close.
That's crazy. Like when I bought the A7 III, why am I buying these big, massive lenses?
What's the point?
What is the point? I know, like, you got the small little tight little camera. I want something light. Tamron, fantastic job.
I just want to talk about autofocus really briefly. I'm looking at all the images that I shot, and as I look through these images, I mean, my autofocus is really spot on. And I think that's a combination of the performance you're getting from the camera and the fact that the lens, because it's not a native lens, is it functioning properly? Is it really handling that autofocus? And it is. They're just sharp one after another as she walks, as she moves. You know, again, that same detection, face detection, same eye detection as well. And so this lens is working every bit as well as really as any other lens that I've used on the Sony. So bottom line on autofocus is it's doing exactly what you'd get from a G Master on a Sony. I think there's some things about this series of lenses that Tamron has done that is extremely important, and there's 2 or 3 things that I want to point out. Number one is you have a mirrorless camera, which is a small, lightweight, compact camera, and now you have a small, lightweight, compact lens to go with it. So it has kept the integrity of that thought of I want a small, compact camera. And these lenses are very sharp. The 28-75 has been very sharp, and now the 17-28 is very sharp. They're great lenses. The one thing that I do not like about these kinds of electronic lenses, and that is that when you're trying to manually pull focus for video, it jumps around. You can't set a spot and focus and then move it back to another spot and focus. They're difficult to use if you're pulling focus for video. Now, if you're using them in video in an autofocus mode, they're much better for that application. But for still photography, they're going to work with the autofocus in the camera. They're going to give you a sharp image. They're going to be small and easy to carry. And I think overall, just a really good offering from Tamron. So there you have it. A look at the 17-28mm lens. I tried to be as honest and as fair as possible with regards to my conversation about these lenses and about the things that we do, regardless of whether or not they're a sponsor of ours or not. So I hope you found this information interesting. If you want to pick up one of these lenses, and that's the one thing I didn't even say, and that is they are super reasonably priced. You're paying a half or less than what you will for a major manufacturer's equivalent for a camera with regards to Sony especially. Go to our affiliate link, pick it up from B&H, our great affiliate link here at the Slanted Lens. We love B&H and really appreciate their support here at the Slanted Lens. So keep those cameras rolling and keep on clicking.